One of the greatest challenges that the human race and the entire planet faces right now is climate change.
Fluctuations in temperatures, unseasonable rains, it's very evident. Climate change is very evident. I see it very clearly.
In India, we have like four major biodiversity hotspots, meaning these are the places where you have a maximum biodiversity available, but at the same time, the 70% of the diversity is getting extinct because of human intervention.
While most of us are aware of bird and animal species that have become extinct or are facing extinction, not many of us know the plant and tree species that are facing similar challenges.
These species of plants that we are losing are mainly from the rainforest. Two species especially, one jamun from Kerala and one more Maduka insignis, which is only 25 individual trees are found in the wild now.
This is the story of how a group of people in India embarked on a landmark rainforest conservation project, and the former pharmacist from New York who inspired them. This rainforest rescue story begins in an unlikely place. Kamlesh Patel, more widely known as Daaджи, was born in India but made a career in the pharmacy business in the United States. In 2014, he began to train millions of people across the world in heartfulness meditation as the Heartfulness Guide. He has now retired from the pharmacy business and lives in India. While Daaджi spends the majority of his time conducting meditation sessions and providing guidance on meditation, one of his other passions is the plantation and conservation of trees. He is particularly interested in conserving the extremely vulnerable rainforest species.
So, in India, we have rainforests in the Western Ghats, in the Andaman and Nicobar Islands, and in the Northeast.
The place Daaджi proposed to create a rainforest conservation project, however, was far from these locations. And it was, in fact, far from suitable. This was the 300-acre Kanha Shanti Vanam Heartfulness campus near Hyderabad in Telangana. He spoke to Dr. V. Ramakanta, a former Principal Chief Conservator of Forests in the Indian Forest Service.
Daaджi called me and said, I want a rainforest here. And my straightforward answer is immediately I said, sir, rainforest species don't survive in Hyderabad. They die.
It was a barren place, hardly any trees.
After 5-6 days, he says, I want Amazon forest here. I scratched my head and said, sir, Amazon forest cannot come here. I'll get you some trees from moist deciduous forest. Some pathogen, leaf shedding happens maybe for less than a month or so. But they are as good. He doesn't respond.
I was thinking cactus would be a good idea to grow here, because you have these images of deserts with big tall cactus. That was the only thing I thought, okay, it can fit here.
Then after 4-5 days again he says, I want a rainforest here. As if we never had a conversation. So what to do? We got a truckload of plants from Kerala, from Karnataka, from one Dr. Jadhav, great person. He has many endangered plants. He gave a truckload of plants. We grew them, and I never believed that one will survive. And one of my colleagues who's really good in botany said, "Kya kar rahe ho sahib? Pura mar jayega. They all will die."
Really, it not possible to grow such a massive greenery here. It's a very, very tough, very, very tough. It's a toughest soil. We can say the toughest soil, porous soil. Whatever you put, it will get drained out. So how to avoid that wastage?
Right at the outset, the porous soil at Kanha Shanti Vanam presented a huge problem. The team was worried. But Daaджи came up with a suggestion that was simple and effective.
So he gave this idea that we will put some black cotton soil so that it holds the moisture. It was his idea.
Another crucial intervention was the use of biochar. This was made on site in the traditional way by carbonizing biomass and included in the plantation process.
Activated charcoal. For all eternity it does the service, holds the moisture as well as steady supply of nutrient it facilitates.
Plant whatever they will eat, that much only they will eat. After that they will leave it in the soil. Even good things also. So we never give the overdosage. We make it, for example, we will give 100 gram nutrient, that will make it in the 15 gram only. So make it always demand and feed regularly. So of course the manpower need more, but we made it regularly every 15 days once. There is no, we can say, zero waste of the nutrients.
Daaджи believes in science, so a lot of science has gone into growing of this species. We have vermicompost, we have drip, sometimes we have fogger, sometimes we have rain gun. A lot of science has gone into it.
While adopting scientific methods, the team also intuitively developed some novel ideas.
Intuition also happened as to how to create a conducive environment. So we grew something called Sesplania grandiflora, Agastya plant, Agati. It's like that Asterix comics, you drop a seed and out comes a tree, that fast. So we grew Agati plant in a dense formation. It fixes nitrogen, grows very fast and creates the required shade for our rainforest species. So that was it simply evolved.
The entire plantation process was greatly helped by Heartfulness volunteers from all over the world. One critical bit of help, however, came from another source.
Ever since we came here, there is nothing but cooperation and cooperation from Mother Nature. The rains that used to fall 600 mm, 550 mm in Mahbubnagar district, now we are blessed sometimes with 2300 mm, which is more than 3 times.
And I'm happy to tell you, a large number of rainforest species we are growing at Kanha Shanti Vanam, and not one individual plants may have died, but not one species has died here. This is a Canarium strictum, a tree from the rainforests of the Western Ghats. Unsustainable harvest, illicit harvest is killing the trees. Almost on the brink of extinction, you hardly find healthy trees in its natural habitat. Doing very well at Kanha Shanti Vanam. This is one of the great plants from the Western Ghats of India, endemic to the Western Ghats. In English they call it wild jackfruit. And then again, illicit harvest of the tree for the timber is pushing it towards extinction. And red listed species doing splendidly well in Kanha Shanti Vanam. Savior for Kanha Shanti Vanam rainforest project. This is Vitex trifolia from the Western Ghats of India. A very hardy plant. We grow in between the precious tree of ours, and it keeps the whole environment cool.
The endangered and endemic rainforest species are not only surviving but are flourishing at Kanha Shanti Vanam. Some of them are even fruiting.
Quite a few of my colleagues who are botanists, and they are really amazed that we have these species here as well. I mean, they're like, are you serious? They're fruiting. Syzygium travancoricum, that's the Kerala jamun. It's fruiting here, it's grown tall, and only 25 of them in the forest are enumerated. So, I mean, it's just a crazy number, you know, like 25 and then no more in the wild, you know, we're going to lose them. And now what we are doing with the seeds is that we are propagating them and also giving it to 18 different centers across India so that people across the country can plant them and raise them and conserve them. So the efforts are spreading everywhere.
However, since seed propagation is slow and yields a small number of plants, the Heartfulness Tree Conservation Project has gone even further.
We built a plant tissue culture laboratory, which is called Heartfulness Tree Conservation Center. Tissue culture is a technique where any part of the tissue of a plant can be utilized to produce more number of plants. So if we use either a leaf or a small stem portion of it, and in about 6 to 8 months of time, we'll be able to produce at least about a lakh to lakh and a half plantlets from the same one shoot twig. There are 56 species are listed in the red list by these conservation authorities. So we selected 5 of those 56 list. They're in tens of numbers currently available in its natural habitat. So we are aiming to produce about 1 to 1.5 lakhs of these plants by the end of 2023, which will help us to again work with NGOs and then governments to take these endangered tree species and put them in their home land also.
But it took me quite some time to realize why Daaджи wanted a rainforest here. Rainforest means species-rich, the most species-rich terrestrial ecosystem. Whole lot of them are dying out. And when you create a rainforest, this becomes a Noah's Ark.
The Heartfulness Tree Conservation Project is a sincere effort to preserve the biodiversity of our planet. It hopes to keep on expanding its scope to include more and more tree species in the future. The team is happy to learn from others and also to share their learnings freely with anyone who wants to replicate such a project elsewhere. But one may well wonder, what really is the importance of saving these rare tree species? Will their absence really have an impact on our lives?
Paul Ehrlich's rivet theory. He says that basically an aeroplane has a lot of nuts and bolts and rivets. So he says that each species is like a rivet or a nut or a bolt on an aeroplane. And if one rivet falls off, say the plane is flying and then a rivet falls off, nothing really happens, right? I mean, you would even know. And say another one falls, again, doesn't make a difference. 3, 4, we wouldn't know at what point a rivet falls and the whole plane crashes. So it's like that with this planet, everything is interlinked. Without one species, we might not find it to affect our lives. It does not make too much of a difference to us, but we never really know. It's like that rivet, we need to pay attention to every single rivet and give them as much respect as we do to human beings. We are also just another rivet.